Happy WrestleMania, everybody. It is today, night one of the biggest bloody party of the spring season. It takes place tonight inside that there Raymond James Stadium over in America and that there Florida. I don't know what it is, Sam, but every single year we cover WrestleMania, the sun shines brightly here in Newcastle upon Tyne. WrestleMania fever has hit me like a tomato train this morning. How are you feeling? I'm in a great mood.
Honestly, last night I was like, I'm going to have to get hyped up. I'm going to watch WrestleMania like 17 or something. And then I was like, no, I'm going to do that tomorrow. So last night I was just sat watching a Kevin Nash shoot interview. And then about halfway through it, just inexplicably, the festive feeling just started descending on me. And I was like, yeah. And then Graydon this morning was shooting that. I'm like, a man possessed. I was just giving it everything. It was amazing. Just feel great. WrestleMania, everybody.
Give it the green light. Now we're ready to go with some wrestling news. Here are your headlines this WrestleMania. Saturday morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time of day it is, you're watching this video. Oh. Becky Lynch has teased a return to WrestleMania 37, and we also have news of an angle she pitched for the event. The winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal has been crowned on SmackDown, and we take a proper in-depth look at the WrestleMania 37 stage and a few more production details that you will see with your eyes over the next 2 nights. So then, Sam, you know Becky Lynch, don't you? What do we know about Becky Lynch? We know that she's a man, we know that she's Irish, we know that she loves puns, and we know that she's a complete poo house when it comes to being a bit of a scoundrel with the trolling of the wrestling fans. We go back to the Royal Rumble in January. She put a picture of the curtain on backstage inside the Thunderdome. People were going, oh, she's going to make a big return at the Royal Rumble. It didn't happen because Becky Lynch, she likes to laugh at your face.
You know what else she likes? She likes steam as well.
Punk.
Yeah,
Pearl
steam
Jam
punk as well. Yeah.
That's the Pearl Jam on Punk, are they? They're rocking.
Sort of, they came around in the grunge era, but they're not a grunge band. They get lumped in there, but that's a discussion for another day.
That's a different news video. We're here to talk about Becky Lynch potentially coming back at WrestleMania 37. She's done it again, everybody. She's gone on social media. She's posted a picture of herself working out with the caption that reads, "Nothing is guaranteed. Here tonight, only now, eternally." What does each of the first letters in that little thing spell out, Sam?
Night one.
That is correct. Is she teasing a return for night one, or is she just being a complete and utter scoundrel?
I think it's the latter, you know. I mean, this is the thing, though, because you can't really tell, because this Mania, it's the first Mania back in front of an audience. So I'm starting to think more like you, in the sense that it's like, this is just, it's too plain. It's too plain Jane right now. There's going to be huge things that are going to have to happen, surely, because there's an audience that have paid to be there, and they're going to want to make this special. It's a big night in history for wrestling. So I can see it as well. I'm sort of on both sides of the fence simultaneously laughing at the other side going, it's not going to happen. It totally is.
I think it was yesterday I saw news reports suggesting that maybe Bayley could host a Ding Dong Hello show as part of WrestleMania, and then that's how Becky Lynch would come back being a surprise guest. I would love to see Kairi Sane just be that surprise guest if the Ding Dong Hello show does happen, just to see that pirate ship entrance that we all know should happen. But Becky Lynch did actually pitch a storyline leading into WrestleMania 37, which was revealed by Stephanie McMahon on the Bill Simmons podcast, eh?
Ooh.
Big moves being made by Lady Biles there. She said that the former Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion pitched getting jumped at the maternity ward while she was pregnant. Here is the direct quote from Stephanie. "I kept talking to Becky all during her pregnancy and after. She was actually pitching someone jumping her in the maternity ward. I guess we could reenact it." A maternity ward match is coming, the second part of the Women's Evolution.
I mean, just anything to get Becky back on screen. It's not going to be something that never happens, is it? Like we're all patiently awaiting the return of Becky Lynch, but a maternity ward match, I don't know about that, but hopefully we'll have some sort of Mania Night One shenanigans.
I just think she's going to be there just because they paid all that money for that truck to bedazzle at last year's WrestleMania. They want to get their money's worth, and that's the return.
They're getting their money's worth. She's using it as a runaround. She's nipping down the Asda with it.
Imagine going down the shops and seeing that in the car park. Taking up 2 spaces. You ain't considerate.
Parked them outside the newsagent. She's just nipped in for her Chronicle. Like an Iron Brew bar or something.
Last night's special WrestleMania edition of SmackDown took place last night, believe it or not, everybody. And what bar, Sam? What bar? It's the arm bar. The arm bar took place on last night's SmackDown.
On SmackDown, yeah.
Yeah,
on SmackDown.
Hopefully everybody involved got their WrestleMania paychecks, because that is just a part of WrestleMania. It's something
Not
we've become
anymore. It's
accustomed
part
to
of SmackDown.
over the past few years. So hopefully they got their WrestleMania payday. SmackDown, Sam, that you have seen as we're sat here this morning. I haven't seen it yet. I can reveal to everybody, though, who hasn't seen SmackDown, that Jey Uso is the man who got his hand raised at the end of the armbar, gaining a victory that will do absolutely nothing for his career. That much we know, going off armbar history. So how did this one go down, Sam?
Well, it was a bit of a cluster of a match, as you know, all battle royals are. In graded, I pretty much read it off the paper, and I have to keep it entertaining the whole time. But yeah, it sort of all boils down. There's a couple of little awkward reunions. We obviously had Retribution have a bit of an awkward reunion with Ali eliminating some of his former teammates. We had Lucha House Party had a little bit of a ooh with Lindsay and Kalisto trying to get a bit of a reunion going, and Lindsay dumping him to the outside, and then Metalik dumping Lindsay, and then Corbin dumping Metalik. So we just had all these sort of little bits going, but it ultimately came down to Corbin, Jay, and Nakamura. And we had Corbin eliminated very quickly after that, and then Nakamura and Jay really went for each other. I think Nakamura went for a Kinshasa. Jay managed to hit him with a super kick. And then Nakamura actually hits a Kinshasa, gets Jay up. Looks like Nakamura's got it won. Jay shifts his weight and sends Nakamura to the floor. But then, as Jay's posing, it might just be because, we're running out of time a little bit, getting toward the end of the show. Quick, strict time constraints going on here on major networks. But as Jay's celebrating, he gets just a couple of seconds and he's like, yeah, main event Jey Uso. And he's pointing at the name plaque and everything. But then Roman cuts him off and his music starts blaring. And Jay just looks a little bit like...
Ooh, I'm getting sick of your man.
He stood behind Roman. They come down, they embrace a little bit, but he stood behind Roman for the final promo of the night, which is Roman addressing Edge and Bryan, who'd had promos earlier on. But he's kind of stood behind Roman the entire time, looking a bit reserved. You know when Jay sometimes goes in on himself, and you can see him kind of beating himself up a bit? Look just a little bit like that. So well, there could be some poo-housery afoot, but I think it's some ways off yet.
It's an onion. That Universal title triple threat match, there's layers everywhere. More layers added last night on SmackDown.
We've got a healthy Jimmy just waiting to come back at some point as well, which could be a Mania thing as well.
Bloody hell. I could go anywhere. I don't know which way to say it. I think I predicted Edge just because I'm a romantic and it's the anniversary. Who did you predict for that match?
I went with Roman because I've just got a feeling that maybe Jay won't do something and Jimmy comes in and does it and lays Jay out or something.
It could go any way, though. It's incredible how they've built that matchup. The highlight for WWE, in my opinion. But elsewhere on SmackDown last night, we had the Dirty Dogs. Those couple of middle-aged shaggers called Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. They retained their
top dogs, guys. Top dogs.
Because you're the top of the leagues, guys. How did that one go down? They retained their SmackDown tag team titles, and a shocker. I thought they were going to lose them.
Yeah, it was. I thought they were a lock to lose these belts. We had a nice build throughout with all the teams awkwardly tagging in, which, it's one thing that I don't really like 4-team tag matches because of this, when you've got any team can tag in, but then sometimes it just works really well. Like, somebody's just getting on a run, like Robert Roode was taking it to, say, Dominic Mysterio, and then Gable would just be like, cheeky tag. And then Gable would drop the ball and let Ray get in, who would clean house. And it all sort of went back and forth. Ultimately, it looked like Ray and Dom had it locked in. There were some really good, false finishes, but it looked like Ray and Dom had, everybody banged to rights. And they were about to pin, I think, Rude. But then Otis managed to get in to break it all up. And then eventually, sneaky retention there from the Dirty Dogs. But just a reminder of how good they are. And they better start... treating them properly, because it's getting a bit of a joke now, as I've said a good few times now, that the actual champions don't feel like they get any featured time in spite of all these other teams who aren't the champions. So
that's just tag team wrestling, WWE full stop, though, in all the divisions. It's such a shame. But elsewhere on SmackDown, any other headlines to report?
Tamina looked good in a match against Nia. There was a moment, Nia started off, shoved Tamina to the mat, and then Tamina had that moment of just did that just happen?
You don't do that. And
then there was just this glint in her eye, and she just immediately back on the offensive and returned the favor. And I don't know what it was. There was just something about that match, even though it ended with a stupid DQ and it wasn't that great. There was just something about that little trade-off moment between Nia and Tamina where I was like, if they just treat this seriously and they give Tamina and Natty a fair shake, as this, legendary tag team and like second generation or however many generations, like it could work. It could really, really work. Tamina is a threat. But I'm probably forgetting a lot of other stuff. Sami Zayn turned up to Logan Paul's sparring session, got locked out of the gym. There were some great promos from Edge and Bryan. But yeah, ultimately, the night really boiled down to hype for Mania and those two big Mania pre-show matches.
So, of course, later today on the channel, Sam will be back with graded for last night's SmackDown, the penultimate episode, which means the second to last. I've learned this week, Sam, that lots of people don't know what the word penultimate means, which is a shame. And I'll be back with the penultimate episode of WTF Moments. They're both ending next week. It's not today.
I'm getting champagne for next week, I think. I'm going to get some champagne.
Get a pack of cigarettes and a bottle of whiskey and cry. AEW held their house show. The house always wins last night. It's going to be a canon event, by the way, Sam, which is going to be similar to an ECW arena show, whereby the people who obviously were there live, they got to see it live, but everyone else around the world will have to wait and see it. So it will be released in the future. We just don't know when. And it is a canon event, importantly.
Nice.
Headlines from the show. The Butcher won a battle royal to earn a shot at Darby Allin's TNT title later in the night. Later in the night, he would lose that match, but Matt Hardy's faction would attack Darby Allin afterwards, but Dark Order made the save. Should I be giving out these spoilers? We should put some sort of thing on. While these bananas are on the screen. Spoilers, just in case you
spoiler bananas in future.
Look at how green they are. It's incredible.
Oh, they're going to ripen up something nice in the next day or so.
Sort your bananas up, for goodness sake. MJF and FTR defeated the Jurassic Express. Jade Cargill defeated Rekka Tahaka. Cody Rhodes defeated Aaron Solo in a Duval street fight with Anthony Ogogo. Go on, Anthony Ogogo, attacking Rhodes after the match. Big good luck to him ahead of his Dynamite debut this coming week. Excuse me. Then we have Best Friends and Orange Cassidy defeated TH2 and Max Caster. Eddie Kingston defeated Cesar Bononi. Ty Conti, Ryu Mizunami, Red Velvet, and Hikaru Shida defeat Britt Baker, Rebel, Nyla Rose, and the Bunny. Death Triangle and the Seidel Brothers defeated Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Michael Nakazawa, and Konosuke Takashita. Never heard of him. Are you aware of his work?
No, but I'm just listening to all these names, and it's just. What a house show.
I know, yeah.
What a house show.
That was it, though. That's all your spoilers out the way for that there. The house
That's
always wins for
insane.
AEW. Yeah, it's a big event, it is canon, so it does count towards the win-loss records, and it will be released in the future. So sorry if I spoiled the TNT title match, but hopefully the spoiler bananas kept you away from the other spoilers. And finally, just before we go away to this morning, Sam, WrestleMania 37 stage has been officially revealed. Corey Graves and Caleb Braxton were there saying everyone's coming back. Woohoo! Launch the cannons, light the beacons, something like that. Then all sorts of pyro goes off, and we see a massive pirate ship on some really tall LEDs, and there's some LEDs around the top of the arena as well, and it just looks absolutely astonishing.
It looks incredible. Like I've always, I think somebody replied to me on Twitter, like going, "Oh, where would you put it?" But I'm always like a sucker for themed Mania stages. They usually always got a bit of a soft spot for me. So like even like WrestleMania 30, it just had a very light theme to it, but still the huge Triple X and everything. 34, that massive mask. 33, the roller coaster. Just But this is just mwah. Absolute chef's kiss.
Interestingly, something I spotted it right at the top of the main mast on the pirate ship. There is a little crow's nest, which is just about big enough to fit 2 people in.
Oh,
could you imagine if someone flew off that?
They just somehow get the ship to sail around the entire arena, just obscuring the view of all these paying customers the entire night. Just.
Elsewhere, we have sort of amazing photographic evidence that WWE are using drones in
UFOs.
the sky as part of
UFOs.
entrances. What?
The aliens are just big fans, mate. It's not drones. They're UFOs. I'm telling you.
UFOs?
Yeah.
In uniform that spell "Let Me In" and Big E's WWE logo
That's
and stuff?
it. They're
That's
just
incredible.
huge marks. Massive marks.
Don't say that. They're going to attack soon. Don't wind them up. You are lovely people, the aliens. Anyway, we have footage of photographic evidence from people inside, in and around Raymond James Stadium area of drones in the sky. There's one for Bray Wyatt. There's one for Big E. There's one for Sheamus. I think there's one for Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, and they all look amazing. The technology involved in that and how they can fly in sort of a uniform formation is just whoa.
It's unbelievable. Like I've got a drone and I like messing around with the automated settings on it. You can, if say we were in the office and I brought my drone in, and we used it before, didn't we, on a shoot, and we can I can point it at something and go circle So if you were stood, say, on the ceiling, or on the roof, it would just circle around you. But like with the sort of cheapening of drones and like the fact that, you know, lights are getting brighter to go on them and then the software to put them all together, you can make them do some incredible things. Like, it's gonna replace fireworks one day. This is what fireworks will end up being. But when you've got, say, eventually 10,000 drones in the sky, you'll be able to do all sorts of insane things. But this just looks stunning, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks amazing. Can't wait to see these entrances, because we haven't seen the drones in WWE so far, I think, for entrances at least.
I've just remembered something as well that might be something really cool that they get that's a shot. If they've got a drone there and they're still using the pyro and they're using the drones for the, you know, the big name and entrances and everything. One thing that when drones first started taking off, there was a big video from China, I believe, where somebody sent a drone up into a fireworks display. But could you imagine this shot where you just got all these colors exploding around and you can just see the stadium full of people below and all the fireworks going off? Oh my God, I'm having a proper tech nerd boner right now. This
Tech
is bad.
nerd boner on Saturday morning. And then thank you to Twitter user N7ME482, who shared an image of what appears to be cardboard fans inside the sort of tiers up the side of the Raymond James Stadium. Of course, there will be towards 25,000 fans. There's still tickets available as we're sat here this Saturday morning, so there'll be around about 25,000 fans in the arena. But to fill in the empty spaces, WWE are going to follow in the NFL's footsteps by having cardboard people inside the stadium. And I couldn't believe it, Sam. I don't know if it's just me. When I flicked on, because I watched a little bit of the Super Bowl, I flicked it on, and I got fooled me. I thought they were people.
I remember I was talking to Justin about this. He was like, there were so many people watching it going, you're all going to die. And it's like, well, a lot of people are going to probably get sick because the Super Bowl, you know, there was a lot of people there. But he's like, most people just forgot that there were cardboard people there. But yeah, a lot of people got suckered into it. It was like, was it Major League Baseball? I think they used actual crowds from the video games. And they had them like superimposed into the stadiums, which was, I know, something that had been talked about with WWE, but I wouldn't be happy unless it was the SmackDown 2 Know Your Role crowd just going with their signs.
It does look, from those wide camera angles, it will look like a full stadium, and it does trick your mind into thinking that's exactly what they are, real human beings. But they're not. They're cardboard. They're cardboard Adam Pacientes. There's a throwback for you. That is it, though, for your Saturday morning wrestling news headlines. As I said earlier, myself and Sam will be back with a SmackDown pair of videos. One's called Graded, one's called WTF Moments. Penultimate episodes, not the final ones, penultimate. Elsewhere, our WrestleMania 37 predictions are on the channel. Pitches are on the channel as well for WrestleMania 37. Adam will be live streaming his reactions to both nights of WrestleMania 37 here on the YouTube. The rest of us will be watching WrestleMania live, recording our reactions for the return of the cut-down reactions for WrestleMania 37. Adam's will be splicey's in there as well. Anything else I'm forgetting, Sam?
Probably. There's just so much happening, but
there is a lot of videos.
Stay with us. I think Tom was getting an extra news audio podcast. Remember, we do have the audio feed out there for quick news updates as anything breaks. If we're not able to get a video done quite as quick, that's usually out first. But yeah, all the usual Mania coverage. Stick with us. Stick with the channel. Any news breaks, we'll have it just right up served in front of you, won't we?
Cultaholic is brought to you in partnership with Relentless and other energy drinks. Thank you to whoever sent this in. I forgot who sent it in. Who sent it in, Sam? Do you know?
I know that Gar Monroe sent us.
Gar Monroe, that's who it was. I do apologise.
Was it the Relentless and Iron Brew?
But that's it. We'll go away and do some SmackDown videos now. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.
Enjoy Mania, everybody!